Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Kane County Finance and Budget Committee of Wednesday, November 27th, 2024 at 9 a.m. We have roll call, please.
Truby here.
Lewis,
Here. Sanchez.
Sanchez present.
Surges, Tepe,
Tepe here.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Berman.
Berman's here.
And person quorum.
Remote attendance requests, I have none. Approval of the minutes from October 23rd and November 7th.
Tepe asks for unanimous consent.
Everybody agree?
Sir.
And they are approved by unanimous consent. Public comments. I have one individual to speak. Connie Kane.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Connie Kane. I'm a certified public accountant with 20 years of experience in banking. I also co-founded a government watchdog group run by the Illinois Policy Institute, which I can continue to actively participate in. Having worked in the treasurer's office until last Friday, I am here to provide insight into its operations for the benefit of the Finance Committee. Here are some key points and their dates. On May 9th, 2024, Treasurer Lawson's lack of computer skills was evident when he could not approve a 24 million online transfer to Byline Bank. He could not log on to a computer or download apps to his phone, which led to the bank allowing me to handle the approval in his place. May 9th, 2024, received feedback from Vectors that realized gain or loss is not included in investment income. When I asked Treasurer Lawson, he told me to leave it in investment income anyway. June 7th, 2024, the treasurer asked me to provide him with all my login IDs and passwords. I refused because sharing them poses a security risk. June 10th, 2024, the treasurer again requested all my login IDs. I explained to him why I could not hand them over. October 9th, 2024, when I was alone with Treasurer Lawson, he spoke to me with contempt in his voice after blaming me for having to reply to an email from the accounting manager in finance. He caused me to suffer emotional distress. As a result, I no longer felt comfortable being in his office alone with him. I could not tolerate any more mental abuse. October 21, 2024, the treasurer phoned me to inquire about an email he received from finance. After I explained the nature of the email, he stated that the people working in finance are bad because of how they recognize revenue, i.e. the revenue must be available. But according to GASB rules, the finance staff is correct. My concerns are that the treasurer's office maintains a record of reconciliation procedures. However, as of Friday, 5 months of bank recs were incorrectly stored on the M drive and not the shared drive where they belong. This deviation from office procedures without justification raises concerns about transparency and adherence to established procedures. When I began working at the county, Treasurer Lawson tried to block the finance office from obtaining bank statements, but I did not know why. After I told him I was concerned about denying access to financial documents, the treasurer raised his voice saying it was unacceptable for him, for his assistant to have such concerns. The reaction was unexpected and raised further concerns about transparency. More recently, the treasurer mysteriously stated that he had given up on me. This comment was puzzling and left me unsure of his expectations. However, it is important to note that the Kane County Treasurer provides bank reconciliations for the finance office to ensure accuracy and accountability in the county's financial records. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope my insights will be valuable to the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Ms. Kane. No other speakers. Mr. Lawson, the treasury report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Professional conduct and judgment requires that I not discuss personnel issues in public. My report is on file. I'd like to bring you to just a couple of very important points in summary. Let's see. Blair, if you go to the bar chart, I think that's page. Yes, that one. Thanks, Blair. The crucial pieces, the interest earned is positive. Forecasts for the end of this year, last year was about 17 million. This year it's about 18 million. The forecast for interest income going to taxing bodies is about, I would forecast for the end of the year about 3.5 million. The next slide. Blair, if you, okay, good. Basically, this slide is a measurement of performance against, oh, thank you. Oh, look at that. No, look at that. Thank you. Basically, this is a performance for both short-term, long-term investments of the county's money in relationship to standard industry benchmarks. And it shows that we're ahead. The next slide. This is a breakdown. Again, some very good news. If you start with the two lines that are marked A, so down about 75%, and then down at the bottom. Well, Blair, you are so good at that. Thank you. It shows that the yield on approximately, let's see, well, approximately 45%, oh, excuse me, for the total. Let's see, well, the good news is that the proportion of the investment that is in the mortgage-backed securities, that's about 45% of the total investment in one manager, and about 27% in the other manager, is producing 5.5%, and that goes for a duration of about 4.5 years, or 4.42 years. That's the B row. And it's about 4.71% for about 2.5 years in the PFMAM. So with that, be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Lawson? Thank you for your report. And I know that you have several banks to work with as treasurer and a significant number of accounts to manage. I think our finance department is having difficulty reconciling to these accounts without having the original bank statements or communication with the treasurer group. Doesn't seem to be a ability to communicate as to what is what are the outstanding statements and outstanding information. So I think that I need to find out what you can do to assist in improving the communication between finance department and the treasury department. I think that I'm struggling on a monthly basis to reconcile without having all the information.
Okay, I'd be happy to answer the question. Basically, it's a matter of communication between the treasurer's office and the finance department. We have posted from December through September 30th all the bank statements and our reconciliations on the shared drive. So that's access to the finance department. The functions by state statute is that the treasurer is supposed to gather the information, make sure that it's accurate, and then provide it to the accounting department in order to do the accounting and the preparation of the financial statements. I think that and I understand that accounting has had a problem in reconciling, to get to their financial statements. We've had for a time 3 CPAs working on trying to figure out the information that accounting puts together to do their function, which is do the reconciliations for the financial statements. And we just couldn't figure it out. So I think that most important thing is for the accounting and finance department to get all the bank statements and our reconciliation according to the state statutes. And they have the first 10 months. And I think that the biggest problem has been in the investment accounts. And I put together just a real brief presentation. Blair, if you pull up the US bank statement, this is an example of one of the bank statements that's in question. This isn't adequate, and we need to talk with folks where we build and maintain precious and fragile relationships with banks, investment managers, other professional groups exterior to Kane County. But this is the first page. If you go to the next slide, all the information that an accountant or a bookkeeper would need to do reconciliations is provided in these bank statements that are on the shared drive. And there was a time that we did not release multiple the bank statements between about May and September. The reason for that is that we were trying to help accounting by trying to figure out, well, what was the problem on the reconciliations? We asked for beginning balance that they're using for the audited financial statement. We requested that several times, did not get it. But that's their function, responsibility, and I accept whatever their decisions are. But for decades, 50, 60 years at least, thousands of other counties and municipalities have done their reconciliations off of thorough investment statements like this. Market value for example, market value reconciliations, cost reconciliation, asset summary, asset detail, income accrual details, cash transactions, purchases, sales, maturity, bond summaries, bond quality schedule. All the information that someone would need to reconcile is in these reports. It's not so much that it's because bookkeepers want it that way. It's because investors insist on having all the information about their money, about their bonds. If you go to the next slide, this is an example of what's provided monthly as far as the market value reconciliation. The next slide. This is the cost reconciliation that's provided. Actually, interesting that it was about maybe 9-10 months ago, a suggestion was made by one of the members of the finance committee. Leslie, you had said, Chris, why is it, let's just have bank statements. And from the bank statements, people can gather their own, calculations. And frankly, that cut like a Gordian knot through to, yeah, that is the place to come out. So the cost reconciliation, next slide, is just the asset summary. But then the next slide, this is where, this is the beginning page of the detail where all of the investments that we hold on behalf of the King County taxpayers are enumerated. I have crossed out the account numbers. But this is the first page of maybe 30 pages of detail of the individual issues or the instruments that we have. The next slide. This is an example, and there's just this in the final slide. But this is an example of a trade ticket of one of our sales. It's an example of a treasury note that was purchased, an example of how we go through, or how the investment manager goes through for the best execution. They bid out to whoever wants to, brokers who want to compete for it. In this case, they had 4 dealers respond with quotes: Morgan Stanley, Stifel, Amherst, and then RBC. In the end, under number 1, you'll see that the trade date is on here. The settlement date, which is the next day, but this was number 1 was on Friday. Number 2 is on Monday. All the information that anybody could possibly want to do any accounting on these is contained in this. My suggestion has been in writing a couple of times to accounting, but that's their responsibility and authority, is that we have in place external auditors, Baker Tilly, who've taken care of us for maybe 8 to 10 years. And if there are questions about how to go about the reconciliations, in the end, they have to sign off on it. So I would think that they would be the best experts to help in solving it. We did try through 3 CPAs to figure it out. We're not able to do that. So, and then finally, the information on the trade ticket is confirmed if you take a look at this slide, the next slide, and then the next slide are the purchase prices. The details that are on that trade ticket are recorded on the statement, and that's how it is with every investment that we make on behalf of the taxpayers. So other than giving all the information on the statements, there was a delay between May and September because the thought was, well, we and accounting were trying to work together to reconcile, up to the point of April 30th. And I said, you have to start from the same point with the audited financial statements at the end of last year becomes the beginning balance for this year. And if you can't get there, then you're not going to progress. But then once you have the beginning balance, just let's reconcile 1 month at a time rather than 4 altogether. But again, we couldn't get to the first step. So the ultimate decision was, we'll do what the state statutes tell us that we must do, and then you fulfill your function. And if accounting needs help further, then they have various resources. I would suggest that the one at the top is Baker Tilly. Okay.
All right, thank you. Mr. Tepe?
Yes, Mr. Chair, may I ask several questions?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Lausen, you're saying that you have posted all of the statements from the bank on the shared drives and made them available to the finance department?
We have done that, yes, through September. We're working on October's gathering. We reconcile them internally before we put them on. And that was relatively recent, the final 3 to 4 months of those bank statements. And the answer is yes.
Okay, so it's the finance department, in effect, to balance the checkbooks associated with that. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the procedure if they have a question?
They can Kathy can put that in writing to me.
So every question has to be put in writing to you. They cannot contact any member of your staff?
On routine matters, they do, in the course of business, they do contact. But I have found that crafting a question so that it's able to be understood. I mean, we asked a question in order to help, let's see, backing up, the answer so that we have clear communication at the top level and no confusion. The answer to your question is yes, that on important matters that basically you're addressing right now, that needs to go between the two people who have the ultimate responsibility for accuracy. So
What you're sharing, Mr. Lawson, is that there's very little cooperation between the two departments because you're requiring that every request be in writing directly to you. Is that
I
what
don't-
you're saying?
Oh, not at all.
Oh,
I
not at
think
all.
That's a
You
terrible.
will allow the people to work together?
Mischaracterization.
Okay.
And it's, I mean, you and I have been involved in large organizations, have done a lot of accounting. Again, folks have paid me millions of dollars on billing to do this kind of work. And when things get complicated, you need to simplify it. That means that the two people who are in charge need to be in direct communication without confusion from extraneous, important, really good employees. But when it gets complicated, when you ask for the beginning balances by account, by bank account and investment account that went into the audited financial statement, you ask for that at least twice and you don't get it, and you have three CPAs working on it in our office, it's okay. That's a choice that's made in the finance and accounting department. But at a certain point, you have to say, I can't help here. And so everybody just retires to what their responsibilities are under state statute. And that's the decision that I had made.
You keep repeating state statute, but that's your opinion of the state
No,
statute.
it is
That
the state
not-
statute, and it's
But-
been confirmed by the state's attorney, Mr.
Regardless, Mr. Lawson, you have siloed things so that the people in the finance department really cannot work with the people in the treasurer's department. Everything has to go through you in writing.
It's not, that's a mischaracterization because routine things go through, like, for instance, the person who takes care of the payables speaks with the accounting department on different matters, with the auditor's department on other matters. But when it comes to where there is confusion, existing confusion or potential confusion, yes, I have made the decision that I will take full responsibility for the quality of the communication and the result of what our analysis has been. So it's a mischaracterization to generalize to all pieces, but the most difficult pieces, yes, I have put those at my desk.
Sure, any tough question has to go through you, period. They can't work
Okay.
together.
Okay,
And,
fair enough.
okay, and if the finance department has a question, can they contact the bank and talk to the bank about any of these accounts?
No, and I'll tell you why, Vern. The last time someone from this building involved herself in the treasury function, Kane County suffered a ridiculous, inaccurate, unnecessary, and stupid headline in the Kane County Chronicle. Quote, First American Bank fires Kane County. That was from Brenda Shorey receiving a copy of the bank letter from our chairman's office, transmitted to me by the president of the Illinois County Treasurers Association, the date and location stamped. And in reality, what was happening is that First American was playing politics poorly in order to maintain us as a client after 20 years, who they had been overcharging $650,000 a year when we finally went through the RFP process and we replaced them with JP Morgan. So if you were to ask me, well, Chris, you don't want anybody here interfering with your responsibilities with these relationships, the answer is yes. That's correct. I do not want a repeat of playing politics with stuff that is professional kind of standards.
You call it playing politics, I call it information.
Yes, I'm sure you would.
Okay. So again, everything has to go through you associated with any question involving anything associated with the investments. And you have just now finally uploaded all of the accounts to the shared drive, is that correct?
Okay,
And now, because of this kind of relationship, you're suggesting that we go through an independent audit because in my opinion, your department isn't able to work effectively with the finance department. So now you want somebody to pay for an outside auditor to handle the communications?
no, again, Vern, you twisted so badly. I've been doing accounting work for clients for at least 40 years. 40 years. And so I understand how things work in this area. When it comes to the important, difficult pieces where relationships need to be protected, not something that I would say years of my relationship have, put a bow on that one. But when it really matters, you're right. I don't want people who could say something, do something, react somehow, embarrass, cause problems for the county. That is my responsibility. And it is not the responsibility under state statute for anyone else in the building. The problem that First American Bank had was that they thought that that a county government works the same way that a bank works, that the treasurer reports into the chairman of the bank. Okay, that's how it works in a bank. Under state statute, the treasurer is independently, as you know, is independently elected by, in this case, 532,000 people. And it's his or her responsibility to make sure that you earn interest, that you collect the taxes, that you take care of the 14 employees that are entrusted to you. And if there is confusion, and there is, in my opinion, there's terrible confusion right now in your financial statements. I say, and we tried to help, and again, with the best people we have on our staff, we couldn't get the first step taken care of by account. It's okay. That is up to the accounting department. That is really your responsibility, not my responsibility. But to say that we can't work together because I make a decision that on the most important things, yes, I must maintain hands-on to guarantee as much as I can guarantee a good result for our taxpayers. And that's authority granted to me, only granted to me through the county voters and taxpayers.
Well, we have a different characterization associated
do.
with the letter from First American.
Oh, well, I can review it with the date stamp and the office stamp, and that came straight from the president of the Illinois County Treasurers Association. Frankly, I was pretty surprised by the sloppiness of the reporter, Brenda Shorey, that she sent that letter to try to get a good quote to try to damage responsibility. Now, if that's not playing like a lousy type of politics, I don't know what. I believe that the great majority of the people who I work for would agree that that was foul behavior.
I'm talking about the letter from First American, not.
That's what I'm
Brenda
referring
Shorey.
to. That was forwarded to the Brenda Shorey at the newspaper with the chairman's stamp. It is part of our finance committee. It's one of the pages that you don't like me disclosing because it is dirty laundry. And that's part of our finance committee. 2 months.
I don't mind you disclosing anything. I'm again referring to the letter from First American.
Yes.
Which specified certain laws that they felt were being applicable to, and none of that has been investigated, in my opinion. So, thank you,
none
Mr.
of that,
Chair.
and none of that, Vern, had been discussed. None of the pieces that were in that letter. First of all, the letter came from a person who I had never met in my life. Number two, the complaints that they had never been discussed with me in those specifics. The idea that it's then forwarded to a reporter. I mean, what possibly could be the motivation? It certainly is not to benefit the taxpayers and the reputation of King County government.
I think it's the kind of open information that needs to be shared. And I think it's a shame that, in my opinion, you're hindering the finance department by not cooperating with them. And because your level of cooperation just makes it extremely difficult for these organizations to work together. And it makes me think that you're hiding something.
Understood. For the record, it's like an extreme mischaracterization, but I understand that that is your point of view.
Okay, very good. I think, always good to have discussion. Any other comments, any other questions, whatever? Moving on. Auditor's report, Ms. Wegman.
Good morning. Happy early Thanksgiving. My report is on file, but I can address any questions that there may be.
No questions? Thank you very much. We have a resolution to approve the October 2024 claims paid of $16,299,381.26. Do I have a motion?
Sanchez moves.
Sanchez
Lewis, a second.
and Lewis, discussion. Roll call, please.
Juby,
Yeah.
Lewis,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Tepe,
Deputy, yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes. Thank you. And now Finance Director's report, Ms. Hopkinson.
Good morning. Before I start my report, just want to give a little information on the bank reconciliation process. So my staff check every morning the shared drive to see what bank statements have been loaded. Last week, we hadn't received a lot of the bank statements as far back as April. Last week, a whole bunch of the bank statements were uploaded. We grabbed them, made a copy, and the next day they were deleted by the treasurer's office off of the shared drive. We do not, and my staff just texted me, we do not have all the bank statements through September as of this morning. In terms of the documentation that was provided, the bank statements do not provide all the information that we need. There are transfers in and out of a wire clearing account. We don't know where the money is going. We don't know where the money is coming from. I suspect that is one of the reasons why we can't balance. We have not been able to balance with the county treasurer's office since February of 2023. We got close enough at year end that the auditors deemed the difference immaterial, but we are off hundreds of thousands of dollars each month. And we are simply asking to speak to people to ask questions because it could be a very simple explanation. So on to my executive director's report. There should be a PowerPoint, yeah, at the beginning. So we're coming to the end of the fiscal year. And this is just a slide. This is all county funds. And I know we typically don't look at the county this way in terms of all county funds, but I thought it would be interesting to look at. And it is interesting to look at because the amended budget for all county funds for this is current fiscal 2024 was 418 million. And as of last week, when I prepared this, we have only brought in 251 million. The big differences are in other, which is really related to some of the ARPA recognition of revenue. If we go to the next page, similar story, the amended spending budget for all funds is 418 million. The year-to-date expenses are 265 million. Obviously that will go up. We still have a few weeks. Interesting things to point out, salaries, pretty close to budget across the county. And we still have several pay periods because as you know, we pay payroll. The checks that everybody receives are actually from the pay period ending 2 weeks prior. So we have several pay periods yet to be posted. So that will come fairly close to budget. Employee benefits are a little under. Contractual services, typically what happens at the end of the year, a lot of the contractual services invoices come in. So I expect that number to go up quite a bit. Commodities, a little under budget. Capital, significantly under budget. We budgeted about 95 million in capital expenditures. To date, we've only spent 29. Again, end of year, a lot of construction work, especially at KDOT. Those invoices, those big invoices for road work are going to be coming in, but still quite under budget. So just wanted to point that out. Next slide. This is just the general fund revenues to date. So if you just look budget to actual, where we're under right now is in other taxes, which is our sales taxes, our income taxes, et cetera. I expect that number to go up quite a bit because we accrue a couple of months, especially in sales taxes at the end of the year. All the other numbers are pretty close. I'd say there a few are under. So that could come. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks, but it's not too far off. Expenses on the next slide. Salaries and wages is going to come pretty close. Again, this is just the general fund. It's going to come pretty close to budget. Employee benefits is fairly close. It'll probably end up coming in a little bit under. Contractual services, again, will probably come very close to budget because a lot of those invoices come in right at year end. We'll probably come close to budget on that one. Next slide. And again, I'm just kind of, these are the big highlights of my report today. This is a very important point, which I'm working through, talking to various people here in the county about how this is going to impact our operations. But effective January 1st, 2025, county elected officials will need to do competitive bids for any purchase over 30. So that has not been the case before because according to our county procurement ordinance, elected officials are encouraged but do not have to do competitive bidding for items over 30. But this is a new state statute with the applicable new language is underlined up there. So we will be working with the state's attorney, elected officials, et cetera, to figure that out. Next slide. Just wanted to recap as we finish up the year on the finance department and what we're working through, what we've been working through the last 18 months in the finance department. This was the finance department previous to about a year and a half ago. We had 12 people, one part-time person. As part of 2024, we eliminated one of the senior staff accounting positions and replaced it with a grant administrator position. And I did that primarily because I needed to see how the finance department functions. And next slide. Oh, that should say prior. That is the current finance department, 12 people, one part-time. And then the prior department was 12 people, one part-time. As I said, we just, replaced the senior staff accountant position with a grant administrator. And next slide. Again, just as we were ending up the year, all the things that we've been doing in finance, which have been in the monthly finance reports that we present to everybody, we've been catching up. We're trying to be more proactive on planning, training, researching, documenting. We've got some we're working on planning some training for all county users of New World, which everyone's been begging for. We just signed a contract with Tyler to do that, the IT department. We are a big resource and assistance for all the county offices because there's staff in every county office. And when they change over, we work with them. We go out there, we sit with them, we help train them. we want to do that better and in a more organized fashion. We're implementing better and more timely reporting and forecasting systems. We put in that change to the purchasing policy last year, where anything over 10 requires a purchase order. That has been a huge help because we can now see what funds are encumbered out there and making sure that people are getting their 3 quotes on everything over 10. We have been questioning things that we do, looking for efficiencies. It's a culture change within our finance department. And we've been implementing better procedures and tracking mechanisms. Again, a culture change in our own department. We're trying to build the technical knowledge. One of the things that we did when we put out the bid for the audit contract this year is we used to have the auditors prepare the footnotes for us. How I was trained in public accounting, the organization that does the financial statement should prepare their own footnotes and the auditors should just be auditors. So we, when we put out our bid this year for audit firm, we said, we want to do that, which saved about $20,000, $30,000, we think, probably maybe more off of our bid. And we're going to take that in-house this year and we want to solve more problems. So that is my report. Any questions?
Chappie?
Yes. Blair, can we go to page 127? Kathy, you said that been year-to-date close to budget. What's your,
I think so. Right now, if you look at in the detailed, Blair, if you go down to in the details of my executive director's report, if you keep going, right there. So
what's the page number? 4.
So right now, as of last week, and again, a lot happens at year end. Oh, you had the page, yeah. A lot happens at year end because a lot of invoices come flooding in at year end. So things like contractual services lines will probably go up. As of last week, we're using about $10 million. If you look on that line where it says fund balance utilization, we're using about $10 million of fund balance in order to quote unquote balance the general fund. Our 2024 budget, we expected, that was our budget, about $10 million. I suspect that we will probably end up using $14 to $16 million of fund balance, because if you look at our revenues, we've already brought in all the property tax revenue for the year. So that's done. We still have some other sales taxes and things to come in, but we have 3 payrolls yet, which have to be posted, contractual services to come in. I think we're going to go over our expected use of fund balance for 2024.
So you anticipate it to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 to 15 million?
That's my estimated forecasts. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Thank you. Yes. Mr. Lawson.
I'm sorry, I need to make a correction on information that I gave to the committee. I spent the better part of 2 Sundays ago doing a final review of, the controversy here, came to the conclusion that, we couldn't help. However, and Kathy's right on her report, and I have to correct the record of what I said based on what I didn't know. We did put up the reconciliations and the bank statements about a week and a half ago. Somehow they were taken down, as Kathy reported. I just called into the, our team, and I didn't know that we had taken those down. Just, I guess it's from May through September. So I didn't know, but I misreported. That's my responsibility to know. Made a mistake. Those will be back up by by 1 o'clock today. And October's will be finished by the end of the month. So I wanted to correct the record before we leave the room.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hopkinson. Moving on. New business. Item A is a resolution. Emergency appropriation to amend the 2025 budget to reflect amounts in resolution 24-378, 24-400, and 24-463. And this is what have been changed. These resolutions were for our non-union COLA, merit increase, and the increase in taxes through our increase. Yeah, Ms. Hopkinson?
Yeah, so all three of those resolutions in effect amend our budget. So this resolution here before you is just to make amendments to the 2025 budget to incorporate those resolutions.
These have all been passed. Now this is just to change the budget. We have a motion to,
Lewis, a motion.
Lewis moves,
Sanchez seconds.
Sanchez second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Juby,
Trivia.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes. Item B is an ordinance abating the taxes heretofore levied for the year 2024 to pay debt service on $7,670,000 of general obligation alternate bonds. These are the Riverboat Revenue Alternate Revenue Source, Series 2010 for the County of Kane, Illinois. Do we have a motion to approve?
Leonard will move.
Leonard moves,
Lewis seconds.
Lewis second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Juby,
Trivia.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes. Thank you. Item C is an ordinance abating the taxes heretofore levied for the year 2024 to pay debt service on $13,130,000 general obligation bonds, the alternate revenue source series 2020 of the County of Kane, Illinois. Do I have a motion to approve?
Sanchez moves.
Sanchez,
Leonard will
second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Juby,
Trivia.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes. And D is a resolution authorizing fiscal year 2024 budget adjustment for the Office of Emergency Management. Mr. Busecki, you'd like to speak on this?
Yes, good morning. So this original resolution passed the Judicial Public Safety Committee a couple of weeks ago. And that original resolution was for amounts for a grant money already received and then already paid out in invoices to pay the consultant, which did our natural hazard mitigation plan. The amendments here are to account for money not yet received. We requested back in August the rest of the grant money from the state. We're still waiting for it. So, and we have invoices to pay. So this amendment is to account for that grant money, $17,000, I believe, to be receivables on the 24 budget, and then to account for the invoices. So it's a dollar for dollar change.
Thank you.
Leonard will move.
Leonard moves.
Sanchez seconds.
Sanchez
Are we
second.
moving it as it's amended here?
Discussion? Thank you, Mr. Busecki. Roll call, please.
Juby,
Trivia.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes. E is a resolution. The emergency appropriation for transfer of funds from the Long Meadow Debt Service Fund number 624 to the Transportation Sales Tax Fund number 305, $13,556.66. Do we have a motion?
Sanchez moves.
Sanchez,
Lewis seconds.
Lewis second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Juby,
Trivia, aye.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes. F is a resolution. Emergency appropriation for the transfer of funds from the mass vaccination fund number 354 to the general fund, general account number 001 of $666,548.53.
Leonard will move.
Leonard moves.
Sanchez seconds.
Sanchez second, discussion. Roll call, please.
I think you have Kathy.
Pardon? Kathy? I'm
I just
sorry.
wanted to say one thing on this because we've been working with FEMA. And FEMA, it works differently than other grants. You have to file after the fact. And we're cleaning up some of these funds that were set up during COVID. We actually got a check yesterday from FEMA for $555,000. We thought it was going to come several months from now, and it surprised us. So you're going to see a few more of these entries over the next couple of months where the general fund had advanced some funds to other funds. And now that we're going to get the FEMA money, we can quote unquote pay the general fund back. We weren't sure if we were going to be getting the FEMA money.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please. Mr. Sanchez.
Just want to mention that I know it was a real pain in the butt for staff to work on that FEMA grant. Sounded like a good idea at the time and it became not the best idea after a while. So it's good to hear that we actually have money coming in finally. So
Oh, Mr. Roth.
I have a question, Roth here. Was that included in our budget as a revenue source?
No, because the way, so FEMA works differently than other sorts
yeah.
of grants because it's treated more like a claim
Right.
than an actual grant.
Okay.
So you don't know until it's approved.
So you don't.
And literally, we've been having lots of phone calls with FEMA and IEMA over the last several months to get everything tied up. So
So this is a good news.
this is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
Mr. Pepe?
Hey, Mr. Sanchez, does that mean it was a good idea or a bad idea?
He's here.
we've got money in the bank, so not gonna talk bad about that.
Dollar signs. Oh, roll call, please.
Juby,
Trivia, aye.
Lewis,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes. Oh, G is a resolution. Emergency appropriation for transfer of funds from the general fund, general account number 001 to the sheriff's detail escrow fund number 702 for $347,171.
Sanchez moves.
Leonard seconds.
Sanchez, Leonard, discussion. Roll call, please.
Juby,
Trivia, aye.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes. Thank you. And H is a resolution, emergency appropriation to approve agreement with Lauterbach and Amen for accounting services. $210,000 for, it's a 1 year with a 3-year extension on it. And 135,000 that's coming from the general fund and 75,000 is coming from the balance of the account.
Yeah, we issued an RFP back in January. It's been part of our mission and outcomes for the finance department. Since we eliminated the one senior staff position, my goal has been to push transaction type activity down and bring more technical knowledge up to the rest of the team so that we can better serve all the county offices. And it's been in my reports that we were going to issue this RFP. We issued the RFP. We had 4 bidders. We interviewed them. our budget was cut. I'm bringing it forth. We really do need the assistance as we're trying to get ahead, and especially as we're trying to implement a forecasting system and bring some of our audit work that the outside auditors were doing, bring in-house. And so this is, yes, it's requesting an amount over our department's budget.
Discussion.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
I can't see you over there.
Oh, Jarrett's head's in the way.
Do we?
So with all of the
Quiet.
things that I've been so quiet? Oh, well, not now. With all of the money that's been going in and out in the general fund, and with your projection that we may be 12, 14 to 16 million in reserves as opposed to 10, where does this sit us?
Yeah, it's an additional use of fund balance.
But I saw that we had $1 million transferred back in to the general fund.
Right.
So when all of this information that came from today, was that factored in your 14 to 16 million in terms of your best guesstimate for where we might be?
In terms of the additional money that we just got from FEMA. and
Well,
how that- Yes.
Yeah, basically with everything we've kind of talked about.
Yeah, I would still say that we're probably looking at about $14 million. I'm going to say minimum use of fund balance. in the
Okay, and
general fund.
we'll know that when March,
Uh,
February?
we close out in mid-January. We try to get all the bills in, and then we're fine tuning. I mean, last year we had a few collective bargaining agreements that hit in February, and we had to do retro pay, which affected the prior year. So it's amazing how long it takes to close our books, but we should have a better sense towards the end of January.
Okay, I'm thinking we're gonna have to start saying no to these budget adjustments in the 2025 budget year.
Any other discussion, questions?
We need a first and a second.
Was there a motion made and seconded? Okay,
We need a motion and a second.
We need a motion.
I move.
Have a motion.
Sanchez seconds.
Just second discussion further. Roll call, please.
Juby,
Should I?
Lewis,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Tepe,
Seppi, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, no.
Berman.
Bernie,
Passes with one no.
very good. That's the end of our new business, any old business? I have none. I ask for the reports to be placed on file.
Sanchez asked for unanimous consent to place reports on file.
Sent. The reports will be placed on file by unanimous consent. Committee chairman's comments. Gosh, this is our last meeting of the year. Good luck in 2025. Good year. Executive session, no. Motion for adjournment.
Sanchez moves.
Sanchez,
Seppi seconds.
happy, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We're adjourned.
Congratulations, under an hour.